There are a lot of known artists during the Renaissance period, right? But have you heard about Donatello and Michelangelo? In this presentation, we will explore two of the most influential artists of the Renaissance, Donatello and Michelangelo. Now, who is Donatello? Donato di Niccolo di Berardi, better known as Donatello, was born in Florence, Italy sometime in 1386 and died in 1466. Donatello was the famous Italian sculptor during the 15th century Renaissance period. His friends and family gave him the nickname Donatello. He grew up with the Martelli family, a family that is wealthy and influential Florentine family of bankers and art patrons closely tied to the Medici family, which gave him artistic training at a very young age. Moreover, he was the son of Orsobardi and Niccolo de Berubardi, a member of the Florentine Woolcombers Guild. This gave young Donatello status as the son of a craftsman and placed him on a path of working in the trades. Before he was 20, he was receiving a lot of tasks for his work. Over his career, he developed a style of lifelike, Gothic style, emotional sculptures, and a reputation second only to Michelangelo. Donatello is truly amazing, for he mastered multiple and different mediums for his sculptures. He mastered both marbles and bronze. But not only that, he also uses stone, wood, clay, stucco, and wax as medium of his artwork. It was here that Donatello probably first received artistic training from a local goldsmith. In 1403, he apprenticed with Florence metalsmith and sculptor Lorenzo Ghiberti. A few years later, Ghiberti was commissioned to create the bronze doors for the baptistry of the Florence Cathedral, beating out rival artist Filippo Brunelleschi. Donatello assisted Ghiberti in creating the cathedral doors.
Eventually, he died of unknown causes on December 13, 1466, at the age of 80 years old, and buried in Basilica of San Lorenzo next to Cosimo de' Medici. Influence on Renaissance art. Donatello's innovative approach influenced countless artists of the Renaissance and beyond. His techniques in sculpture and realism set the stage for future masters like Michelangelo and Bernini. Legacy in modern art. The impact of Donatello's work extends in modern art, where his principles of realism and emotional expression continue to resonate. His legacy is evident in contemporary sculpture and artistic practices. And here are some famous artworks of Donatello: Donatello's David, Saint George, Equestrian Monument of Gatamelata, Penitent Magdalene, Judith and Holofernes. This bronze statue of Donatello's David is located at the Museo Nazionale del Bargello, Florence, Italy, year 1405. It is one of the most iconic pieces of Donatello, and it represents a youthful and victorious David, known for its elegance and departure from the Gothic style of the time. Explanation for Donatello's David, it seems like that Donatello is trying to associate David's youth with an innocent and virtuous life. David looks young here, so young in fact that his muscles have barely developed enough to hold the large sword.
Saint George is a marble statue located at the Vergilium Museum, Florence, Italy, year 1417. Saint George, the patron saint of the Armorers Guild, and was known as a military figure, one who was well known in the Byzantine East, but who was also known by the Crusader who battled Muslim force in the Holy Land. Elo's depiction of the Saint George seems to reflect the idea of standing tall against an approaching enemy. Equestrian Monument of Gatamelta. is a bronze statue located at Pisa Santos, Padua, Italy, year 1453. It portrays the Erasmo of Narni, also known as a Gatamelta, was among the most famous Codocerte of military leader under the Republic of Venice, which ruled by the Padua at that time. Gatamelta is portrayed as a warrior figure carrying a baton, symbolizing his military leadership, and with lengthy swords. Penitent Magdalene is a wooden sculpture located at the Museo dell'Opera del Duomo, Florence, Italy, year 1455. Mary Magdalene, a biblical figure who is often associated with repentance and penance. It depicts Mary Magdalene's repentance for her sins and her plea for forgiveness. Judith and Holofernes is a bronze statue located in Palazzo Vecchio, Florence, Italy, year 1460. The statue depicts Judith standing with the raised swords holding the head of Holofernes by his hair. Art historian Mary Garrard believes that Judith slaying Holofernes portrayed Judith as a social liberated woman who punished masculine wrongdoing.
Another artist from the Renaissance period is Michelangelo. He is considered as the greatest artist in history, and he is widely known for his exceptional skills in painting, sculpture, architecture, and poetry. One of his beloved works are the Statue of David, the Creation of Adam, Pieta, and the Last Judgment. Michelangelo, or his full name, Michelangelo di Lodovico Buonarroti Simone. He was born at March 6, 1475, at Caprese, Tuscany, Italy, and died on February 18, 1564. As already mentioned, he was an Italian Renaissance sculptor, painter, architect, and poet. Through his skills, he made a huge influence on the development of Western art, and that made him considered as the greatest living artist in his lifetime. Michelangelo was one of the best documented artists of the 16th century. He is the most accomplished artist of his era, showed by his work on his sculptures on how realistic and complex it is, and how he manipulates the lights and shadows through his sculptures. Michelangelo was also the first Western artist whose biography was published while he was still alive, and two biographies were published during his lifetime, and both those biographies were titled as The Life of Michelangelo. The two published biography in Michelangelo's lifetime is called The Life of Michelangelo, and it was written by Giorgio Vasari, an Italian painter and architect, and Ascanio Condivi, and an Italian painter and writer. In Giorgio Vasari's version of The Life of Michelangelo, Vasari presented Michelangelo's work as the pinnacle of art, surpassing all previous artists. Meanwhile, in Condivi's version of The Life of Michelangelo, Condivi's biography was considered a central source for studying Michelangelo's life.
Michelangelo's contributions to art and the Renaissance are indeed immeasurable. He is considered one of the greatest artists of all time, and his work set the standard for excellence in sculpture, painting, and architecture. For explanation, he was a master of multiple mediums, sculpture, painting, and architecture, each showcasing his unparalleled skill and creativity. His sculpture exemplified the ideal of the human of beauty and emotion, setting new standards for realism. Here are some famous artworks of Michelangelo. Michelangelo's David, The Creation of Adam, The Last Judgment, Pieta, Moses, and also San Spirito Crucifix. Michelangelo's David. Way back in Florence, Michelangelo sculpted a giant David from a piece of marble, 17 feet high, and it portrays the biblical hero David, who defeated the giant Goliath with a single stone from his sling. And for explanation, because it has beauty and expressiveness, and it was placed by the entrance of the city hall so everyone could appreciate it. The Creation of Adam is a fresco by Michelangelo. is located on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel in Vatican City. It painted around 1512, and it depicts the biblical story from Genesis in which God gives life to Adam, the first man. It portrays the divine of act creation, with God reaching out to touch Adam's finger, it imparting the spark of life, or a symbol of the divine and human connection and the gift of life.
The Last Judgment is a monumental fresco by Michelangelo, located on the altar wall of Sistine Chapel, completed in 1541. The Last Judgment is a depiction of the second coming of Christ and the final and eternal judgment of God of all humanity. The Last Judgment serves as a powerful reminder of Christian eschatology, emphasizing the importance of moral choices in life and ultimate fate of the soul. It reflects Michelangelo's deep understanding of human emotions and divine themes, making it one of the most significant works of Renaissance art. Pieta. In Rome, at the age of 23, Michelangelo finished the sculpture Pieta, which shows the Virgin Mary holding the dead body of Jesus Christ. Michelangelo changed the proportion to make the piece lighter. He sculpted Mary proportionally bigger than Jesus and made her look younger, even though she was 50 years old when her son died. The word pietà is Italian for pity or compassion. Another remarkable work is the sculpture of Moses, created around 1513 to 1515. In the sculpture, Moses is depicted sitting with a flowing beard and two horns on his head, holding the tablets of Stayed. Michelangelo was commissioned to create the sculpture by Pope Julius II for the time of the Pope. The San Spirito crucifix, attributed to Michelangelo, is a wooden sculpture traced around 1492. Michelangelo created the San Spirito crucifix when he was around 18 years old. The crucifix reflects Michelangelo's early style and shows a youthful and somewhat idealized portrayal of Christ on the cross. It depicts Christ on the cross and is notable for its expressive realism and emotional depth.